Now, a rare glimpse into the early progression of photography has gone on display in Sydney.
Julia Margaret Cameron was a pioneer of portraiture photographs. Rachel Pupazzoni has been given a guided tour of some of her most significant work.
An exhibition of one of the most important woman photographers of the 19th century has gone on display here at the Art Gallery of New South Wales. The exhibition of Julia Margaret Cameron's work typically resides at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, but it's just opened here in Sydney. And I'm joined by the Curator of Photographs from the V&A, Marta Weiss, to talk about Cameron's works. Why is she regarded as so important?
Well, she really was one of the most innovative photographers of the 19th century. She pioneered the close-up and was one of the first photographers to take photographs purposely out of focus because she thought they looked more beautiful that way.
And this is one of the pieces that she regarded as one of her first successes.
That's right. This one is called Annie, and she sometimes called it Annie, my first success. Cameron was given her first camera as a gift by her daughter at Christmas of 1863. And she took this photograph in January of 1864. This is also quite indicative of her work because she was an extremely sensitive photographer of children. So it's telling in a way that her very first subject was a young girl.
Moving on from children, she also photographed some very well-known people. She circulated in the arts world and science worlds. Who's this person here?
This is John Frederick William Herschel. He was a very important astronomer, and he also was a scientist who contributed significantly to the development of photography itself. And he was a good friend of Cameron's, and she depicts him here as a kind of a man of genius. You get this kind of halo of white hair around him and his eyes kind of staring out into the distance.
And so Marta Cameron was so confident in her work and in the medium of photography that she actually contacted the director of the gallery to start collecting her work.
That's right. She wrote a number of letters to Henry Cole, who was the founding director of the V&A, or the South Kensington Museum, as it was then called. You really get a sense of her personality from these letters. She's extremely confident, and even in her handwriting, you can see that she has an incredible amount of energy and seems to always be rushing through everything. She even wrote to Henry Cole that she thought her photographs would electrify him with delight and startle the world. She was not a modest woman.
Marta, among the first works that the V&A collected were these photographs here. What can you tell me about these works?
Well, in these three photographs, you can see the kind of development of Julia Margaret Cameron's signature style. In the one at the top, you see a quite conventional photograph. It's in fairly sharp focus. You get a sense of a little bit of the background of the tree in the background. You can see the details of the sitter's dress, and she's gazing down quite demurely. In this photograph, made on the same occasion, you can see how Cameron has moved the camera much closer. It's a much tighter frame. The sitter's now in profile, looking out with more sort of determination, and it's in much softer focus. She famously said that she rejected the type of focus that most photographers use. She said most photographers would focus their lens until the picture was in sharp focus, but she instead would focus her lens until she thought the image looked beautiful, and that was always what she was striving for.
They're beautiful works, and they show a variety of Cameron's work and the way that she progressed throughout her career. And of course, if you want to see them, they're on display here at the Art Gallery of New South Wales until the end of October.
Marta Weiss there with Rachel Pupazzoni.